Hey everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with today's edition of Today in Sports Betting. It is MLB style, Scott. We have one game to take a look at today, and it is the World Series, probably perhaps the most bizarre World Series of all time, as the Dodgers meet the Rays, of course, in Texas, down there in Arlington at Globe Life. Are you excited? You got do you have Rays fever, Scott?
No, not really. Then again, it's one of the situations where I'm not really a fan of either team. So it's kind of just whoever wins, whatever, good for them.
Right.
I'm personally rooting for one specific team because of a play today that I had. So
Right.
if not check that out, I ended up giving out a series future for the video, I don't know, about 7 hours ago or so.
Yeah.
But for the actual matchup itself, I know that you said it's a matchup that nobody really expected. At the end of the day, in 2020 was such a very, very odd and unique playoff bracket. It's the 1 seed versus the 1 seed, and that's kind of how we ended up. So, yeah, really crazy, unpredictable playoffs when you have the 1 seed against the 1 seed.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's exactly how it shook out. The two best teams in baseball, according to their records in the 60-game season, are going at it in the World Series. Yet one is a prohibitive favorite. Scott, I have to say, I think if the Yankees would have been here, the series price wouldn't have been nearly what it is now. Do you agree with that?
I think so based on reputation, but I do think the Dodgers still would have been favored probably around minus 140, give or take. Looking at the actual pitching matchups between the Yankees and Dodgers, hypothetically, it's one-way traffic. I mean, besides Cole, the Yankees had nothing.
Yeah, they ended up really gasping, as did the Braves. The Braves had two pitchers, where the Yankees really just had one. So it was yeah, quite a weird situation. One thing for sure is the Dodgers have not faced any pitching this good the entire postseason.
Definitely true, especially since the Padres were missing some of their aces, or Clevenger only pitched 1 inning. So that was definitely a factor. But yeah,
Yeah, the Rays are going to have to get it done with pitching, Scott, because this is not a team that
they don't
scores
score very
scores
well.
a ton of runs. They just don't. They do it. Nobody is hot right now except for rookie Randy Arozarena. I hope I'm saying it. Is that
Rosarena has had one of the best postseasons of all time, if you want to just go based on rookie performances, etc., because he's been on another planet. I was trying to think of another guy who had that type of run up to this point. I thought maybe last year of Soto, but that was more of a World Series performance. First thing on my mind was Daniel Murphy with the Mets.
yeah.
He literally just put the team on his back and carried them to a World Series berth. That's kind of what it seems like he's been doing.
The problem is he kind of stopped playing in the World Series.
Uh, Correct, and you would know all about that because your Royals were the beneficiaries of his struggles in the World.
I do vaguely remember some of that series. Yes, that is correct. So this is a Rays team that we talked about it a little bit. They just have a hard time scoring. They've only scored 5 runs one time in the last 9 games in their playoff games. They did break through against the Yankees there for 8 runs, but in the last 9 they've scored 5 one time. They're averaging right around 3 runs a game. Scott, frankly, I don't think that's going to get it done again.
I mean, I mentioned the under trend last week to you,
Right.
and I know they ended up not working out for one of the games against Houston where they gave up, I think it was like 7 runs or something. But for the most part, the unders have been just an under bettor's dream when it comes to the Rays in the playoffs.
They're 8-1 to the under the last 9 games.
Yeah, which is a problem because you're facing a Dodgers team that has an elite pitching staff based on ERAs, which can kind of rival Tampa's. I think Tampa still has the better overall rotation. I think the Dodgers have the better top of the rotation, but depth-wise, you could argue the Dodgers. The bullpens, Tampa Bay is a good bullpen. I could say that it hasn't looked as sharp as people were hoping it would as the playoffs have progressed, particularly Nick Anderson, who was unhittable in the regular season. It seems like he has had some struggles in the playoffs, but the lineups are just night and day between these two teams. And it's not the Rays' fault when you're competing with one of the biggest payrolls in baseball and you have one of the lowest, but these lineups are just nowhere close to each other. It is really something else.
No, it looks like a mismatch on paper as far as those lineups go. And to add insult to injury, Scott, as we were talking about, not only do the Rays not have a very formidable lineup, they haven't been hitting. Even the guys that they have in there are not hitting the ball well.
You have a Rosarena and a hint of Adames. a little bit of Margot, Choi every now and then, but he doesn't face lefties, so they're gonna have to platoon there. Not great.
No, not at all. So let's talk about the pitching matchup here tonight, as we've got Clayton Kershaw going against Tyler Glasnow.
You have two, I guess, aces technically on paper, but not exactly postseason aces. Is that fair?
We certainly. I'm not sure that's fair. We certainly have one. I'm not sure.
I'm saying based on what we've seen so far from, I'd say this season for Glasnow, last season, kind of a mixed bag because you had the potential tipping pitches thing in Game 5 against Houston. But this season, both of them have been kind of similar in the sense that they've looked sharp at times, and other times they've looked average at best.
Yeah, Glasnow's been victimized by the long ball. He's got a 4.23 ERA for the season, but a WHIP of just 1.17, Scott, which means he's not giving up a ton of hits, but the ones he given up really matter. Yeah, and that's throwing a guy that gives up a lot of home runs at the Dodgers is not necessarily going to be a good look because this team can bop. They absolutely can. They've been hitting a lot of home runs in the playoffs as well. In fact, they've hit 13 home runs in their last 5 games. So good luck, Rays. That's all I'm saying.
I don't remember if this is still true, but I know that in the middle of the Astros series, they were saying how Tampa's runs, I believe, have been accounted roughly 86% by home runs.
I don't doubt that a bit.
I know that was the case in the middle of the series. I don't know. I'm assuming it went down or something, but I'm really not sure. But it seems like all of Tampa's runs do come via home run.
You know, we haven't talked about the odds here. As you might suspect, the Dodgers are a big favorite in this.
Roughly 2-1, right?
Well, I'm going to talk about this game, but
I'm saying not 2-1, minus 200. I mean, you know what I mean?
Minus 173 plus 159.
Yeah, for the series, I believe they're minus 200, but for the game, roughly 170 or so.
Yeah, if you wanted to play a series, the Dodgers are now they've actually up to minus 210.
Okay.
Plus 180 on the Rays side. I know that you've got to play on that.
Question: do you think that those? I mean, that's a money line price for the series. Do you think that line is accurate, or do you think it's a little bit off?
I think it's accurate. I honestly, I don't see any way the Rays get it done here. I just don't. That Dodgers lineup just keeps coming at you. You know, you get down to the 6, 7, 8 hitters. Doesn't matter. They're still throwing high quality guys there at you. And this could be you could be living and dying on the back end of these guys with the 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. And I think the Dodgers have a huge advantage there.
Yeah, that's how I feel. The issue that I have is I'll just say the Dodgers start to pitch around a Rosarena. Where exactly does Tampa go from there?
Right. If you just walk him or pitch him very carefully each and every time. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch these guys at it. Now, the one thing we need to talk about here is kind of the small elephant in the room, and that is the difference between Clayton Kershaw's regular season performances and his playoff performances. He's given a little bit of a hint of that this year as he had a great outing against Milwaukee, giving up just 3 hits over eight innings, no earned runs.
That was one of the best starts he ever had.
Yeah,
regular season or postseason. That was a phenomenal performance.
Outstanding. Struck out 13, 1 walk. Just couldn't have been better. Now the last 2 starts, he's looked more like the Kershaw that we've come to expect in the playoffs, as he's gone 11 total innings, given up 13 hits, 7 earned runs. Still's not walking, guys. That's not his problem. He's given up hits. He's not wild. He has given up 3 home runs over those 11 innings. Now, is that the Rays shot tonight? I guess it might be. But
that's what I was going to ask you, but I was kind of going to wait for later on. We can bring it up now, though. I don't want to say that Game 1 in any series is a must-win, but don't you feel like if Tampa loses this game, it's a huge mountain to climb if they lose this game with Kershaw on the mound? Because Kershaw has been known, according to the court of public opinion, as being the weakest link, so to speak, for the Dodgers in the playoffs. So would you agree that if Tampa loses this game, everyone's going to pretty much be selling Rays stock?
Yes. Again, it's kind of a weird narrative. I mean, if you look at the stats, you see Kershaw regular season ERA of 2.
He's not as awful as people make him out to be, but at the end of the day, he's so good in the regular season that his I'd say his underwhelming comparison between playoff stats and regular season stats is just so noticeable and jarring because of how good he is in the regular season.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got, like I said, ERA in the playoffs 4.31 during the regular season, 2.75 over the lifetime of his career.
That's the thing, though. You're talking about a 4.31 ERA. Is that good? No. Is that awful? I've heard of worse ERAs. It's not great, but
4.3 runs probably is 4.31 is probably the average ERA of the number 2 starter in the majors this year.
I think it's probably better than the number 2 starter. I mean, then again, that's considering regular season baseball to postseason baseball, which is a completely different animal. But
absolutely true.
Yeah, still that those numbers, people based on what people have seen from Kershaw in the last 10 years, you'd assume his ERA was like 6.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, the guy just can't pitch. Never is competitive, and yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing I want to ask you about Kershaw, though. How many bad playoff starts has he had? This season. He's had 3 starts. The Brewers one was phenomenal.
Yep.
He faced against the Padres, 6 innings, 3 runs.
Yep.
I don't consider that bad.
That's a quality start.
And you had the last game against the Braves where he gave up 4 runs in 5,
mm-hmm.
But then again, the Dodgers allowed 6 runs in the 6th inning. So through 5 innings, he only gave up 1 run, and then he just completely struggled out of the gate in the 6th. So the question is, did Roberts keep him in too long? What exactly happened there? But giving up 1 run through the first 5 innings of that game against Atlanta's lineup, I really don't think – I just feel like people are misinterpreting his performance against Atlanta because of the final numbers instead of looking at how the game itself actually broke down.
Well, over his last 7 appearances, he has not been great. 5.2 ERA. He's given up 38 hits, 36 in the 3rd innings, walked 6.
What was his ERA in the bullpen game against the Nationals last year? Infinity? Did he get out in that game?
He got yes, he got 1 out in that game.
He got 1 out and he gave up 2 earned runs, so that kind of helped.
Third he gave up 2 earned.
So that ERA would come out to 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning. I mean, 2 runs in 1 inning is 18.
54 is what
that's what I'm saying. So that's a little bit of a – I don't say it's a huge outlier, but that's probably an outlier. It's not going to help his stats.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess where's the value in this one is what we're looking at. Do you just hold your nose and play the Braves at plus 157? Play the Braves at plus 157?
The truth is no, because I think Glasnow's had similar performances than Kershaw in the postseason. So it's not like he's going up against a guy who has looked completely sharp the entire way through. Plus, even if Kershaw struggles, the Dodgers lineup could just get to Glasnow and it's not going to matter. I mean, if you turn this game into a 4-4 tie in the 7th, then I got to assume the advantage goes to the Dodgers because they have the better lineup and they can generate runs more easily. So I think that also factors in. If I had to look at anything, I'd look at the Dodgers team total over. I would just try to avoid Kershaw at all costs and just hope that the lineup wakes up against Glasnow, who has very good stuff, but has been victimized by the long ball, which is where the Dodgers have come to life over the last couple of playoff games.
Right.
Now, I got a couple other questions for you on that one. So my main one would be the Dodgers team total over.
Okay.
A couple other questions, though. Bellinger hits the massive home run against the Braves, celebrates, pretty much separates his shoulder. They pop it back in. They said he's sore, but he's going to play. How injured do you think Bellinger is with his shoulder?
I don't know. Is it in which shoulder is it?
I want to say it's the right one, but don't quote me on that.
If it's his right shoulder, I don't really care. He's still going to be able to hit. It might affect obviously his throwing a little bit, but it shouldn't affect his hitting too much. And that's
it won't affect his range in the outfield, which is already elite in itself. So he should still be a good fielder. The only question is if you get a tagging situation from third base, that might play a factor. I think he'll be able to hit. I kind of question how much power he's going to have, but at the end of the day, the professional athletes, what do you think he's going to get shot up with cortisone before every single game?
Yeah, and most of your power is going to be with your offhand anyway. If you watch it, if you look at a swing, that's mainly going to be driven by your front hand. So
I think the first game is going to tell you a lot about Bellinger in the series because it's more of a Grammatica situation where he got injured celebrating a huge achievement, but it's not a good look. But he's also one of their best players, so that factors in. But
Kendrys Morales.
the funniest part is if you actually compare the lineups or just the actual overall roster for both teams, the Dodgers have like 8 of the 9 most talented players in the series from a position player perspective.
It'd be hard to argue with that. It really would.
You got a Rosarena who I don't really know where to factor him in there because he's competing against the likes of Bellinger and Betts. So it's kind of tricky. But every other position you're looking through, like, I don't know where the Rays have an advantage, and I think that is kind of telling for the sake of this series. But another question I had for you, because I was curious, since it is a neutral site technically, do the Dodgers have home field advantage since the Dodgers fans obviously travel a lot better than Tampa's fans? Yeah. And second of all, the Dodgers played the last series in the same stadium they're playing in now, while Tampa was in San Diego. Do you think that factors?
I don't think the travel necessarily factors. I don't care about the last series. I think they do.
I kind of mean that they're just familiar with the ballpark in itself.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have they're going to have the home field advantage. Where that really changes, they're going to have the home field advantage for every game.
Yeah,
they're not just 1 and 2, but they're going to have the home field advantage for 3, 4, and maybe 5.
I'm not trying to roast the Rays. It's just the fact that the Dodgers are significantly more popular than Tampa, and that if you saw based on what happened in the Atlanta series, primarily Dodgers fans, and Atlanta has a decent-sized fan base, mostly localized, but still. I expect there to be, I don't know what percentages are going to be. I would assume it's going to be, 80% Dodger fans?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So especially since Dodger fans who are already there for the CS don't have to travel anywhere.
Also, yeah, that's also true. And I think there's a lot more local Dodgers fans.
Yeah, in addition to the fans who are already there in the area. So I think that might not play a factor because of the capacity limits. I got to assume that having some fans is better than no fans at all. And Tampa should have a couple of fans, but I mean, in terms of fan bases, do you think Tampa is the smallest fan base in the entire league?
Yes.
So it doesn't help.
Perhaps Toronto, although as far as travelable fans, I think they probably do.
Toronto maybe, but you don't know how much of Canada fully, I'd say, adopts Toronto as their own once they're actually in the playoffs. Because those playoff games with Batista back in the day, they were sold out venues.
Yeah, true.
So I don't even know if Tampa was sold out for their playoff games in previous years. I have no idea.
That's a good question. And that is such a dreadful stadium. I don't know if you've ever been there or not, but it is.
They were contemplating putting half the home games in Montreal because nobody shows up to their games.
No, I mean in Tampa.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. So I'm talking when it comes to fans' perspectives.
Yeah,
it's so bad that they were contemplating moving a winning team that made the playoffs last year half the time to Montreal because nobody showed up at their games.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
If you go, you understand why. It's a horrible venue. Although you don't want to be playing outside in Florida in the middle of summer either. So I get the whole dome thing. You just need to do it better.
Yeah. But I don't know. For me, for this game, I'll lean to the Dodgers team total over. I'll lean to the Dodgers, but I'm not really thrilled at the price. So I'm just kind of going to bank on Glasnow being a bit inconsistent and the Dodgers offense continuing to just produce at a high level. Because Seager came alive last series, and you already had Betts and Bellinger, who Bellinger's had his postseason struggles in his career. Betts is on another planet, so I don't even factor Betts in because Betts is just insane. But going through the other guys, Will Smith had some big moments. Turner's a very clutch playoff player. You're going through just everybody. The whole team is just so good. It's really just crazy.
Well, when you look at this lineup, when you compare the two lineups, I mean, the only place you could make a case that the Rays might be stronger would be second base.
I was going to make that argument, but Lau's been terrible in the playoffs, and you can rotate between Lux and Taylor, and Taylor's a pretty good playoff player. But Lau's been terrible.
Yeah, Lau's been terrible. If you wanted to, I don't know, if you wanted to talk about third base, maybe Wendell over Justin Turner.
Maybe, but I think you'll agree that Turner historically has been a very clutch playoff player.
He's the guy. I'd rather have him at the end of the day, and then in every other position,
it's not even close.
Not even close. It's even. I mean, I guess if you wanted to talk about Jock Peterson and Rosarena,
I'm assuming they're going to platoon Peterson, right?
I would think so.
Probably going to platoon him with Pollock if I had to guess.
That'd be my guess. So.
That's what I'm saying. Peterson isn't even starting half of these games, and he would easily be starting on Tampa every day.
So generally speaking, at the best case, the most generous assessment of these two teams, the Dodgers are better at 6 of the 9 field positions.
Bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's like I said, that's giving every benefit of the doubt to the Tampa Bay Rays right there.
And I think even rotation-wise, if you want to break it down, of course you have Glasnow versus Kershaw. I'm going to go based on the projected matchups, right? So game 1, what do you think? Coin flip? Glasnow Kershaw based on playoff versions?
Yeesh.
I'm assuming maybe Kershaw a little bit of a lean, but based on playoff track record, it's mostly a coin flip, right?
Okay, let's be generous and say that.
Okay, game 2, I don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers. I got no idea. Because Buehler's supposed to pitch game 3.
My guess would be Tony Gonsolin.
Gonsolin, that'll be my guess. Maybe you could also throw in, I don't want to say Dustin May or a Urias, but I guess.
No, those guys went pretty long.
That's what I'm saying. So they're probably not available, but you're going with them against Snell. I think Snell is an advantage, but he's also only going about 5 or 6 innings, so that's also an issue. Right. Game 3, I know Morton's a huge big game pitcher. I'll take Buehler all day, every day, especially since you're looking at Buehler for potentially 3 and 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty solid situation you got there. So I think rotation slightly into Tampa, but nothing extraordinary. And I think the bullpens are a wash.
The Dodgers bullpen has actually been statistically better.
Been very good. And the issue you have was with Jansen, but Jansen actually looked sharp last series, so you don't really know what to expect. But Nick Anderson's also looked inconsistent over the course of the playoffs.
Right.
So, and he's the closer, so you can make an argument that him and Jansen are kind of at least comparable based on what we've seen recently.
So to me, there's only 2 value plays here, Scott. You're either going to back the Rays at plus 157, or you're going to back the Dodgers on the run line at plus 110. I think this is a mismatch. I'm gonna have to play the Dodgers here on the run line at plus 110.
I'm going with the team total over 4.5. At the end of the day, I'll hope that Glasnow is a bit wild. He'll give up a couple of long home runs. And Tampa's bullpen, I know they've been sharp. Can we acknowledge that they weren't really that good down the stretch against Houston?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Of course, the Dodgers have scored 5 or more. I'm going to look here. 6 of their last 10.
They've had some struggles at times against Atlanta, etc. But Tampa's only had struggles in the playoffs when it comes to producing. So the Dodgers, their worst case, compete with Tampa, and at best case scenario, they're going to outscore Tampa easily. I think the Dodgers are probably the move in terms of from a game-to-game basis, assuming that the line doesn't get above, I don't know, minus 210 for any of these games.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, with the pitching of Tampa Bay, I think it's going to keep that line down.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and play the Dodgers on the run line. I will give a slight lean to the over.
I'm going to go with the team total over on that.
Over 7.5 there. So. And I do have a premium play on the team total as well. So
okay,
all right, bud. There you go. That's our World Series breakdown for today. It should be an interesting series. I wouldn't be stunned to see Tampa jump up and win this first game. That
wouldn't surprise me either. But I do think that if Tampa loses this game, they are already in some problems.
Can't go down. Can't go down against this Dodgers team.
If you're going to play with house money, because I don't say nobody's giving you a shot to win, but you're definitely the huge underdogs in this series, whether it's odds or just public perception, you can't afford to build yourself a bigger hole.
You cannot. You absolutely cannot. And yeah, having the home field advantage for every single game is certainly going to be a benefit to the Dodgers at the end of the day. I believe that as well.
Yep. But anyway, before we officially wrap up, I know we're going to have to cover this at post-air, but I'm not really sure what the schedule is for the rest of the week. I'm assuming that we don't have many videos in the beginning of the week. We got a ton of videos later in the week, which seems to be what sports is going to be for, I don't know, until the MAC comes back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're looking at. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, we've got Thursday night, Friday night college football.
I was hoping for a Wednesday college game in the Fun Belt, but we didn't get that this week. So
no, they gave us the Fun Belt game on Friday night to go along with 2 other games. So
they got Thursday also with Appalachian and Arkansas State again.
Yeah, well, I was looking at Lafayette and UAB.
Oh, I wanted a Wednesday game, didn't get it, so now we got basically nothing.
That should be a Wednesday game. We're going to have the World Series.
No, I know. We got the World Series. It finally happened, by the way. They added a day off in the middle of the World Series. They finally did it. They added an off day.
Well,
I can't believe it.
They're going to play. They're going to be after Game 2.
I think it's after Game 3.
After Game 3.
I think so. I think it's Game 3, and then they take a day off, and then they continue onward. It's either Game 3 or Game 4.
Well, that just adds to the weirdness. So
it's very weird. I still think there should have been a day off in the AL and NLCS. That's a separate story.
I like keeping the regular days off. Have a day off after Game 2 and after Game 5. Come on.
Well, usually one of those are added for travel purposes, which isn't.
I know why they're there, but why?
I just wanted one day off in the middle so pitchers' arms wouldn't fall off. Give them something.
I don't know why you have to make everything, everything's going to be different enough. I don't know.
It's like you're rushing to the finish line because you're afraid of another COVID outbreak.
Yeah.
Like you're in a proverbial bubble. It's fine. You went through the hard part. You only have 4 teams left. You can afford a day off.
You can afford 2 days off.
That's what I'm saying. But I feel like the reason why they didn't do it is because they're like, well, we're so far behind in COVID and we got to get this done as quickly as possible. And it's just like, we get it, but there's only 4 teams now. You do not have 30.
They're ahead of schedule about where they would normally be.
Correct. So, you caught up. You can relax a little bit. But I don't know. That's more of a rant.
And they actually did a very good job with COVID, by the way.
They did. That's what I'm saying. They've done such a good job. You don't have to continue trying to push the panic button by speeding through this World Series and the AL and NLCS.
Have a day off after Game 2. Have a day off after Game 5. It's not that hard.
Yeah, that's how I view it. But
all right. So there you go. So, yes, to talk about your question, we'll be doing, again, a solo World Series show tomorrow. We'll be talking about the World Series and Arkansas State and Appalachia State on Thursday. And then we've got 3 college football games for Friday. And we will have World Series action again then as well. So
it works for me.
Okay. All right. Very good. It should be a fun week. Yeah, like I said, a light week for us, but yeah, it's going to be some interesting games. Should be an interesting series, Scott. I think you and I both think it's going to go one particular way. And again, wouldn't be totally stunned, blown out of the water, jaw standing agape.
I've seen crazier things. I thought Houston was going to win last year, and they lost to the Nationals. So I have seen upsets in the past, etc. But the thing is, you can never expect the unexpected. At the end of the day, the best you can do is look at, just break down on each individual team and just come up with which team do you think has the advantage. And I think we can both agree, and everyone could agree, the advantage belongs heavily with the Dodgers.
Yes. Would it be a stunning development to see the Dodgers choke away another World Series? No, it would not.
No, it wouldn't, because it's also baseball and it's unpredictable. But based on paper, we're just telling it how it is. And the truth is, the Dodgers, when you have an excess of, $200-something million in payroll advantage, the Dodgers are going to have better players.
Yeah, and we, this show is all about telling you about where we think the best value is, where we're putting our actual money, and what we think has the best odds of happening. Now, and certainly it's sports betting; anything can happen. So this is just the facts as we see them, and the way that we've got this series and game broken down. So
yep.
All right, there you go. And if you want an even deeper dive, if you're looking for even more information on this game, there's just one place to turn, and that is winnersandwhiners.com. Doing it every single day for every single North American sport. And it is always interesting to see what other very good handicappers think about this contest. So make sure you stop by winnersandwhiners.com to check out not just this game, but every game going on every single day. And for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwhiners.com, we appreciate you watching. Don't forget to drop us a comment. Let us know what you're playing today. Let us know what you're thinking of the show. If you're agreeing, if you're disagreeing, whatever it is, put it up there, get a little friendly camaraderie, get a little friendly debate going. We love it. And we do it, like I said, appreciate you watching today. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you watching. And we'll do it again next time on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.